Hi everyone! Welcome back to English Fab, where learning English is practical, useful and fab. Do you ever wonder whether to say I can do it or I could do it? Or maybe you're not sure when to use may instead of might or will instead of shall. Modals can be tricky because they change the meaning of a sentence depending on the situation. But don't worry, that's exactly what we're going to cover today. In this lesson, we'll break down common modal verbs like can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, and must. You'll learn their meanings, how to use them naturally, and practical tips to make your English sound more fluent and confident. If you find English difficult, don't worry. You can translate the subtitles into English and your own language like this. Check the description below for extra details. Are you ready? Let's get started.
In this lesson, we'll break down 5 important ways to use can with clear explanations and examples. Let's get started. 1. Expressing ability. Use can to talk about something you are able to do. This is the most common way to use this word. Example: I can swim very well. This means I have the ability to swim and I do it well. More examples. She can speak 3 languages. They can play the guitar. If you want to describe a skill or talent, can is the perfect word to use. 2. Asking for permission. Use can when asking if you are allowed to do something. This is a casual way to request permission. Example: can I borrow your pen? This means I'm asking if it is okay to use your pen. More examples. Can I leave work early today? Can we sit here? If you want to ask for permission politely, use can in your question. 3. Giving permission. Use can to let someone know they are allowed to do something. Example: you can use my laptop if you need it. This means I'm allowing you to use my laptop. More examples. You can take a break now. They can stay at my house tonight. If you want to allow or approve something, use can. 4. Talking about possibilities. Use can to describe something that is possible or likely to happen. Example: mistakes can happen to anyone. This means it is possible for anyone to make a mistake. More examples. It can get very cold in the winter. This road can be dangerous at night. If you want to talk about something that could happen, use can. 5. Making offers or suggestions. Use can to offer to do something for someone or to suggest an idea. Example: I can help you with your homework. This means I'm offering to assist you. More examples. We can go to the park this weekend. Suggestion: I can lend you my book if you need it. Offer: if you want to offer help or suggest an idea, use can. Now that you understand the different ways to use can, let's go over some important tips to help you use it naturally and correctly in conversations. 1. Keep it present and general. Use can when talking about abilities, permissions, or possibilities in the present or general situations. Example: I can play the guitar. Present ability. More examples. She can cook really well. This app can help you learn English. If you want to describe something happening now or in general, use can. 2. Use can't for negatives. To make a negative sentence, use can't, short for cannot, to talk about inability or prohibition. Example: you can't park here. Parking is not allowed. More examples. I can't swim. I don't know how. You can't use your phone in class. It's not allowed. If you want to talk about something that is not possible or not allowed, use can't. 3. Can versus may. Many learners get confused about when to use can and may. Can is used for informal permission. May is used for formal or polite requests. Examples: can I go outside? Informal, used in casual conversations. May I go outside? More polite and formal. Both are correct, but may is often preferred in formal settings like schools or workplaces. 4. Don't use can for the past. You cannot use can to talk about past abilities or past permissions. Instead, use could. Example: I could run faster when I was younger. Past ability. More examples. When I was a child, I could climb trees. She could speak Spanish when she lived in Spain. If you are talking about the past, remember to use could instead of can. 5. Practice common phrases with can. Here are some useful expressions with can that you can practice. I can do it! Expressing confidence. Can you hear me? Checking if someone can hear you. You can count on me, offering support or reliability. Try using can in different conversations to build your confidence.
In this lesson, we'll break down 6 key uses of could with clear explanations and examples. Let's get started. 1. Talking about past abilities. Use could to describe something that someone was able to do in the past but might not be able to do now. Example: when I was younger, I could run faster. This means I had the ability to run fast in the past, but I might not be able to anymore. More examples. She could play the piano when she was a child. He could swim across the river when he was younger. If you're talking about a skill or ability in the past, use could. 2. Making polite requests. Use could when asking for help or permission in a polite way. It sounds more formal than can. Example: could you help me with this task? This means I am politely asking for your help. More examples. Could I borrow your book for a day? Could you turn down the music, please? If you want to sound more polite in requests, use could instead of can. 3. Expressing possibilities. Use could to talk about something that might happen in the present or future. Example: it could rain later, so take an umbrella. This means there is a chance of rain, but it is not certain. More examples. This road could be dangerous at night. She could be at the cafe now. If you want to talk about uncertain possibilities, use could. 4. Talking about hypothetical situations. Use could to talk about imaginary or unreal situations that are not happening now. Example: if I had more time, I could learn a new language. This means right now, I don't have enough time, but in a different situation, it would be possible. More examples. If I had a car, I could drive to work. If we lived by the beach, we could go swimming every day. If you're describing unreal or imagined possibilities, use could. 5. Making suggestions. Use could to propose ideas or options in a friendly way. Example: we could go to the park this afternoon. This means going to the park is one possible idea. More examples. You could try a new restaurant for dinner. We could watch a movie tonight. If you want to make friendly suggestions, use could. 6. Expressing doubt or uncertainty. Use could when you are not completely sure about something. Example: she could be at the library, but I'm not sure. This means it is possible that she is at the library, but I am uncertain. More examples. This phone could belong to James, but I'm not sure. He could be working late tonight. If you want to talk about something that might be true but you are unsure, use could. Now that you understand the different ways to use could, let's go over some important tips to help you use it correctly and naturally in different situations. 1. Use could for politeness in requests. When you want to ask for something in a polite way, could sounds softer and more courteous than can. Example: could I borrow your book, please? More examples. Could you help me carry this bag? Could I have a moment of your time? If you want to sound polite and respectful, use could in your requests. 2. Pair could with have for past hypotheticals. Use could have to talk about something that was possible in the past but didn't happen. Example: I could have finished earlier if I had started on time. More examples. She could have passed the test if she had studied harder. They could have won the game, but they made too many mistakes. If you're talking about past possibilities that didn't happen, use could have. 3. Could versus can. Know the difference. Many learners mix up could and can, but they are used in different situations. Could is for politeness, possibilities, or hypothetical situations. Can is for present abilities or direct permission. Examples. Could you explain that again? This is more formal and polite. I can explain it clearly. This is describing a skill. If you want to talk about what is possible or be more polite, use could. If you want to talk about a skill or permission, use can. 4. Express uncertainty clearly. Use could when you are not 100% sure about something but think it is possible. Example: the event could be canceled due to the weather. More examples. He could be at the coffee shop, but I'm not sure. This road could be dangerous at night. If you want to express possibility without certainty, use could. 5. Practice common phrases with could. Here are some useful expressions with could that you can start using today. Could you pass the salt? Polite request. I could use some help right now. Expressing a need. We could have a picnic if it's sunny. Making a suggestion. Try practicing these phrases in daily conversations to become more comfortable using could. In this lesson, we'll go over 5 key ways to use may with clear explanations and examples. Let's get started. 1. Expressing possibility. Use may to talk about something that could happen in the present or future. Example: it may rain this evening, so bring an umbrella. This means there is a chance of rain, but it is not certain. More examples. She may be late because of traffic. The restaurant may be closed on Mondays. If you want to talk about uncertain possibilities, use may. 2. Asking for permission. Use may when requesting permission in a polite or formal way. This is often used in schools, workplaces, or professional settings. Example: may I sit here? This means I am asking politely if I can sit in this seat. More examples. May I borrow your book? May I take a day off next week? If you want to ask for permission in a formal way, use may. 3. Granting permission. Use may to give someone permission to do something, often in formal or official situations. Example: you may leave early today. This means I am giving you permission to leave early. More examples. You may enter the office now. Students may use the library after class. If you want to allow or approve something in a formal way, use may. 4. Expressing wishes or hopes. Use may to express hope, blessings, or goodwill. This is common in formal speeches, greetings, or well wishes. Example: may you have a wonderful journey. This means I hope you have a great trip. More examples. May your dreams come true. May this year bring you happiness and success. If you want to express good wishes in a formal way, use may. 5. Talking about uncertainty. Use may when you are not completely sure about something, but you think it is possible. Example: he may know the answer, but I'm not sure. This means I am uncertain if he knows the answer. More examples. The store may have the item you're looking for. She may be at home, but I haven't checked. If you want to talk about something that is uncertain, use may. Now that you know the different ways to use may, let's go over some important tips to help you use it naturally in conversations and writing. 1. Use may in formal contexts. The word may is often used in polite and formal situations, especially when making requests or granting permission. Example: may I borrow this book for a week? More examples. May I leave work a little early today? May I ask you a question? If you want to sound respectful and professional, use may instead of can. 2. May versus might. Many learners confuse may and might. While both express possibility, they have different levels of certainty. Use may when something is more likely to happen. Use might when something is less certain. Examples: likely, she may attend the meeting. There is a good chance she will go. Less likely, she might attend the meeting. It is possible, but not very certain. If you want to talk about probability, choose the correct word based on how certain you are. 3. Avoid overusing may in casual conversations. While may is great for formal situations, it sounds unnatural in casual conversations. Instead, use can or could. Examples: formal, may I use the restroom? Casual, can I use the restroom? More examples. Formal, may I have a glass of water? Casual, can I get some water? If you're speaking informally, replace may with can or could to sound more natural. 4. Express politeness in wishes and hopes. Use may to add a formal and warm touch when expressing good wishes or hopes for someone. Example: may your dreams come true. More examples. May you have a wonderful year ahead. May your journey be safe and enjoyable. If you want to sound thoughtful and formal, use may for well wishes. 5. Practice common phrases with may. Here are some useful expressions with may that you can start using today. May I help you? Offering assistance. You may now. Granting permission. May the best team win. Encouraging fair competition. Try practicing these phrases in real conversations to become more comfortable using may.
In this lesson, we'll go over 5 key ways to use might with clear explanations and examples. Let's get started. 1. Expressing possibility. Use might when talking about something that could happen, but it is less certain than may. Example: it might rain later, so take an umbrella just in case. This means there is a possibility of rain, but it's uncertain. More examples: she might be at home, but I'm not sure. They might cancel the event if the weather is bad. If you want to express uncertainty about the future, use might. 2. Talking about hypothetical situations. Use might when discussing imagined or uncertain scenarios, especially in conditional sentences. Example: if I had more time, I might learn another language. This means learning a new language is possible, but it depends on having more time. More examples: if we left earlier, we might avoid traffic. If I won the lottery, I might travel the world. If you want to talk about possible but uncertain situations, use might. 3. Making polite requests less common. Although may is more commonly used in formal requests, might can also be used to sound extra polite or indirect. Example: might I suggest a different approach? This means I am politely offering a suggestion. More examples: might I ask you a question? Might we take a short break before continuing? If you want to sound formal and polite, you can use might, but it's not as common as may. 4. Expressing doubt or hesitation. Use might to show uncertainty or hesitation in making a statement. Example: he might not be the best choice for this role. This means I am unsure if he is the right person for the role. More examples: this plan might not work as expected. I might be wrong, but I think the meeting is tomorrow. If you want to express doubt without being too direct, use might. 5. Speculating about the past with have. Use might have when talking about past possibilities or things that could have happened but didn't. Example: I might have forgotten my keys at home. This means I am not sure, but there is a possibility that I left my keys at home. More examples: she might have missed the train. They might have been asleep when you called. If you want to talk about uncertain past events, use might have. Now that you know the different ways to use might, let's go over some essential tips to help you use it naturally and correctly in conversations and writing. 1. Might versus may. Understanding the difference. Both might and may express possibility, but might suggests less certainty than may. Examples: she may be at work, more certain. She might be at work, less certain. Think of may as having a higher chance of happening and might as being less likely or uncertain. 2. Use might have for past speculation. To talk about past possibilities or things that could have happened but are uncertain, use might have past participle. Example: he might have left already. This means there is a possibility that he left, but we are not sure. More examples: she might have forgotten about the meeting. They might have missed the last bus. If you are guessing about the past, use might have. 3. Avoid might for strong possibilities. If something is very likely to happen, avoid using might. Instead, use will or is going to. Example: incorrect. It might snow tomorrow. Too uncertain. Correct. It is going to snow tomorrow. More certain. More examples: incorrect. She might win the race. Correct. She will win the race. If something is highly probable, choose a stronger modal verb like will instead of might. 4. Softening statements for politeness. Use might to make your suggestions sound softer and more polite. Example: you might want to double-check your work. This sounds more polite than saying, check your work. More examples: you might want to take an umbrella. You might need some extra time to prepare. If you want to sound less direct and more polite, use might. 5. Practice common phrases with might. Here are some useful phrases you can start using today. I might be late today. Expressing possibility. You might want to take a jacket. Polite suggestion. She might have seen him at the store. Past speculation. Try using these phrases in daily conversations to feel more confident with might.
In this lesson, we'll go over 5 key ways to use shall with clear explanations and examples. Let's get started. 1. Making formal offers or suggestions. Use shall when making polite offers, invitations, or asking for opinions. Example: shall we go for a walk? This is a polite way to suggest going for a walk. More examples: shall I help you with that? Offering help. Shall we meet at 5 p.m.? Making a suggestion. If you want to sound more polite and formal, use shall for suggestions and offers. 2. Expressing future intentions, formal or British English. In British English and formal writing, shall is sometimes used instead of will when talking about future actions. Example: I shall inform you of any updates. This means I will let you know about any updates. More examples: we shall arrive at noon. You shall receive your certificate soon. Although shall is not as common in everyday English, it is still used in formal writing and speeches. 3. Asking for instructions or guidance. Use shall when you want clarification, direction, or advice. Example: what shall I do next? This means you are asking what action you should take next. More examples: shall I email the report now? Where shall we meet? If you want to ask for instructions in a polite way, use shall. 4. Legal or official language. Shall is frequently used in contracts, laws, and formal regulations to indicate obligations or requirements. Example: employees shall adhere to company policies. This means employees must follow company policies. More examples: the tenant shall pay rent on the 1st of each month. The law shall take effect immediately. If you read legal documents, you'll often see shall used to express requirements and obligations. 5. Emphasizing strong determination or promises. Use shall to make a strong promise, commitment, or command. Example: you shall not pass. This is a strong declaration that something will not be allowed. More examples: you shall succeed if you work hard. We shall never forget this moment. If you want to make a powerful promise or statement, use shall. Now that you know the different ways to use shall, let's go over some essential tips to help you use it naturally and correctly in conversations and writing. 1. Use shall for formal speech or writing. In modern English, shall is more common in legal, contractual, and formal documents rather than everyday conversation. Example: the tenant shall pay rent on the 1st of every month. This sentence sounds official and legally binding. More examples: the company shall not be held responsible for any damages. All employees shall follow the safety guidelines. If you're reading a contract, legal document, or official rulebook, you'll often see shall instead of will. 2. Shall versus will. Which one should you use? In modern English, will is much more common, but shall is sometimes used to sound more formal. Example: casual: I will call you later. Formal: I shall call you later. In British English, shall is still occasionally used when talking about the future, but in American English, people mostly use will. More examples: we will arrive soon. Casual: we shall arrive shortly. Formal: if you want to sound formal or old-fashioned, use shall, but in daily speech, stick with will. 3. Use shall we for polite offers. When making polite invitations or suggestions, shall we is a great way to sound formal and polite. Example: shall we dance? This is a classic phrase used in formal invitations or elegant speech. More examples: shall we begin the meeting? Shall we go for a walk? Shall I bring you some coffee? If you want to suggest something in a polite way, shall we is a great phrase to use. 4. Avoid using shall for informal future statements. In casual conversations, shall sounds too formal or outdated. Instead, use will. Example: I shall meet you at the cafe. Too formal: I will meet you at the cafe. Natural and casual. More examples: she shall call you tomorrow. She will call you tomorrow. Unless you're writing a formal document or making a speech, use will for future statements. 5. Practice common phrases with shall. Here are some phrases where shall is still commonly used. Shall we begin? Starting something formally. You shall have your answer soon. Formal promise. What shall I bring to the party? Polite way to ask for guidance. Try using shall in formal settings or polite invitations to improve your confidence in using it naturally.
In this lesson, we'll go over 6 key ways to use should with clear explanations and examples. Let's get started. 1. Giving advice or recommendations. Should is often used to suggest the best course of action or give recommendations. Example: you should try this restaurant. It's amazing. More examples: you should drink more water to stay hydrated. He should see a doctor about that cough. 2. Expressing expectations. Should is used to talk about things that are likely or expected to happen. Example: the train should arrive soon. More examples: she should be home by now. This email should go through without any issues. 3. Talking about obligations. Should can express a mild sense of duty or responsibility. Example: you should apologize for being late. More examples: people should respect each other. Students should submit their assignments on time. 4. Expressing uncertainty or possibilities. Should can be used to describe something that might happen, though it is not guaranteed. Example: this should work if we follow the instructions. More examples: he should be at the office, but I'm not sure. It should be sunny tomorrow, but check the weather forecast. 5. Making suggestions in questions. Use should in questions to ask for advice or recommendations. Example: what should we do this weekend? More examples: should I bring anything to the party? Where should we go for dinner? 6. Talking about past mistakes, with have. Should have is used to express regret or comment on something that should have happened but didn't. Example: I should have studied harder for the test. More examples: you should have called me earlier. They should have left on time to avoid the traffic. Now that you know the different ways to use should, let's go over some essential tips to help you use it naturally and correctly in conversations and writing. 1. Use for polite advice. Should is a great way to give suggestions without sounding too forceful. Example: you should check out this movie. It's great. More examples: you should visit that new cafe. He should take a break and rest for a while. If you want to make your advice sound even softer, try adding maybe or perhaps before should. 2. Combine with not for warnings or cautions. Shouldn't is used to advise against something or warn someone. Example: you shouldn't drive so fast on wet roads. More examples: you shouldn't skip breakfast. She shouldn't stay up too late before an exam. Using shouldn't is helpful when giving friendly advice. If you want to be more polite, you can say, it's better not to. Instead. 3. Pair with have to discuss the past. Should have is used when reflecting on past situations, often with regret or hindsight. Example: I should have called you earlier. More examples: they should have prepared more for the interview. We should have left the house earlier to avoid traffic. If you want to avoid sounding too critical, you can say, it would have been better if, instead of should have. 4. Ask questions for clarity. Use should in questions when asking for recommendations or confirming plans. Example: should we bring snacks to the party? More examples: what should I wear to the event? Should we book a table in advance? When asking for advice, using should makes you sound open-minded. If you want to be more formal, you can say, would you recommend? 5. Practice common phrases with should. Here are some everyday expressions using should. You should know better. What should I wear? We should be there by now. Using should in daily conversation helps you sound more natural in English. Try practicing these phrases by making sentences about your daily life.
In this lesson, we'll go over 9 key ways to use will with clear explanations and examples. Let's get started. 1. Talking about the future. Will is used to describe actions or events that will happen in the future. Example: I will call you tomorrow. This means I've decided to call tomorrow, and it is certain. More examples: she will start a new job next month. We will meet at the cafe at 5 p.m. 2. Making promises or commitments. Use will to express strong intentions, commitments, or guarantees. Example: I will always support you. This shows a strong promise to be there for someone. More examples: he will never let you down. I will be there no matter what. 3. Offering help. Use will when volunteering to help someone or offering assistance. Example: I will carry those bags for you. This means I am offering to help carry the bags. More examples: we will help you move to your new apartment. She will bring extra food for the picnic. 4. Making requests or asking for help. Use will when politely asking for assistance. Example: will you help me with this project? This is a polite way to ask for help. More examples: will you open the window, please? Will you lend me your book for a day? 5. Expressing instant decisions. Use will when making decisions at the moment of speaking. Example: I'm hungry. I will order pizza. This shows a spontaneous decision. More examples: the phone is ringing. I will answer it. It's cold outside. I will wear a jacket. 6. Expressing certainty or predictions. Will is used to talk about things that are expected or likely to happen. Example: it will rain tomorrow. This is a prediction about the weather. More examples: she will be a great doctor one day. The economy will improve next year. 7. Making suggestions or offers. Use will when proposing an idea or offering to do something. Example: we will take a break after this task. This suggests a plan for the future. More examples: I will book a table for dinner tonight. They will plan the party together. 8. Conditional statements. Will is used in if clauses to describe future outcomes based on conditions. Example: if you study, you will succeed. This means success depends on studying. More examples: if it rains, we will stay inside. If you work hard, you will get a promotion. 9. Forming negative sentences. Use won't, will not to express future negatives. Example: I won't forget your birthday. This means I will definitely remember it. More examples: she won't be happy if you're late. We won't go out if it's too cold. Now that you know the different ways to use will, let's go over some essential tips to help you use it naturally and correctly in conversations and writing. 1. Keep it contextual. Will can be used in both formal and informal situations. Example: formal: I will ensure it is completed. Informal: I will text you later. Will sounds natural in both professional and casual settings, so you can adjust your tone based on the situation. 2. Politeness in requests. Will can add a polite and friendly tone when making requests. Example: will you join us for coffee? This makes your request sound warm and inviting rather than demanding. 3. Will versus going to. Will is used for spontaneous decisions, while going to is used for planned actions. Example: spontaneous: I will fix it now. Planned: I'm going to fix it tomorrow. If you just decided something at the moment of speaking, use will. If it was already planned, use going to. 4. Pair with conditions for clarity. Will is often used in conditional sentences to explain future results based on present actions. Example: if you prepare, you will succeed. This shows that success depends on preparation. 5. Practice common expressions with will. Here are some useful phrases that include will. I will take care of it. It will all work out. I will see you soon. These expressions are great for daily conversations and can help you sound more natural when speaking English.
In this lesson, we'll go over 7 key ways to use would with clear explanations and examples. Let's get started. 1. Expressing polite requests or offers. Would is commonly used to ask for something politely or to make an offer. Example: would you like some coffee? This is a polite way to offer someone a drink. Instead of saying, do you want coffee, which sounds more direct, would you like makes it softer and more polite. More examples: would you mind opening the window? Would you like to join us for dinner? Using would makes requests sound more respectful. If you want to be extra polite, you can add please to your sentence. 2. Talking about hypothetical situations. Use would to describe imaginary or unreal scenarios, especially when talking about wishes or dreams. Example: I would travel the world if I won the lottery. This sentence expresses a dream or something that is unlikely to happen unless the condition, winning a lottery, becomes true. More examples. If I had more time, I would learn another language. He would buy a sports car if he had the money. Would is often used with if to talk about situations that are not real but imagined. 3. Discussing preferences. Would rather is used to express personal choices or preferences. Example. I would rather stay home tonight. This means the speaker prefers staying home instead of going out. More examples. She would rather have tea than coffee. I'd rather take the bus than drive. When comparing two options, always use than after would rather to show the preference clearly. 4. Describing future in the past situations. Use would to talk about something that was predicted or planned in the past. Example. He said he would call me later. This means that at some point in the past, someone said they were going to call in the future. More examples. I knew she would love the movie. They promised it would help us move. This is useful when telling stories or reporting past conversations. 5. Making polite suggestions. Use would to propose ideas in a respectful and considerate way. Example. I think it would be better to wait. This is a polite way to suggest waiting instead of saying, we should wait. It sounds softer and more diplomatic. More examples. It would be nice to meet up sometime. You would enjoy this book. Using would in suggestions makes your speech sound polite and non-forceful. 6. Expressing habits in the past. Would can describe repeated actions or habits in the past. Example. Every summer, we would visit the beach. This means that going to the beach was a regular habit in the past. More examples. My grandfather would always tell great stories. When I was a kid, I would play outside for hours. This is a great way to talk about nostalgic memories. If you want to emphasize that something happened regularly, you can also use used to. 7. Softening statements. Use would to make opinions sound less direct or more polite. Example. I would say this option is better. This means I think this option is better, but using would makes it sound less strong or forceful. More examples. I would suggest trying a different method. It would seem that he is running late. This is useful when giving feedback or making recommendations without sounding too strong or demanding. Now that you know the different ways to use would, let's go over some essential tips to help you use it naturally and correctly in conversations and writing. 1. Use for politeness in conversations. Pair would with requests or offers to make your speech sound more polite and considerate. Example. Would you mind opening the window? This is more polite than saying, open the window. More examples. Would you like some tea? Would you be able to help me with this? Using would in polite requests makes your communication sound more friendly and respectful. 2. Master conditionals. Would is essential in conditional sentences to talk about hypothetical or imaginary situations. Example. If I were rich, I would buy a yacht. This means that the speaker is not rich, but they are imagining what they would do if they were. More examples. If she studied harder, she would pass the test. If I had a time machine, I would visit ancient Rome. Practicing conditional sentences will help you express hypothetical ideas clearly. 3. Combine with rather for preferences. Use would rather to express personal choices. Example. I would rather take the train than drive. This means the speaker prefers taking the train over driving. More examples. She would rather stay home than go to the party. I would rather have coffee than tea. When comparing two options, always use than after would rather. 4. Keep it flexible in tense usage. Would can be used in different tenses to describe planned or hypothetical situations. Example. She promised she would help me tomorrow. This sentence refers to something she said in the past about the future. More examples. He said he would be there by 8 p.m. I knew they would love the movie. This is useful for reporting past conversations and expectations. 5. Practice common phrases with would. Here are some commonly used expressions with would. Would you like? Offering. I would love to. Expressing interest. I would suggest. Giving advice. Practicing these phrases will help you use would naturally in conversations.
In this lesson, we'll go over 5 key ways to use must with clear explanations and examples. Let's get started. 1. Expressing necessity or obligation. Must is used to indicate something that is required or essential. Example. You must wear a seatbelt while driving. This means wearing a seatbelt is a necessary action for safety and following the law. More examples. Students must submit their assignments on time. You must take your passport when traveling abroad. Using must in these situations emphasizes a strong requirement. 2. Giving strong recommendations. Must is also used to emphasize important advice or things people should definitely do. Example, you must try this dish. It's delicious. This suggests that the dish is highly recommended. More examples. You must visit that museum. It's amazing. If you go to New York, you must see Times Square. When giving recommendations, must makes the suggestion sound very strong and enthusiastic. 3. Showing certainty or deduction. Must is used to express logical conclusions based on evidence. Example, she's not here yet. She must be stuck in traffic. This sentence shows that the speaker is making a logical guess based on the situation. More examples. He must be tired after working all day. That must be her brother. They look so similar. Using must in this way expresses confidence in a conclusion. 4. Talking about rules or laws. Must is often used in official settings to describe regulations and policies. Example, you must follow the safety guidelines at work. This means that the safety guidelines are a strict requirement. More examples. Employees must wear ID badges at all times. Visitors must sign in before entering the building. In these cases, must is often found in formal instructions or legal language. 5. Indicating prohibition with must not. Must not is used to strongly forbid actions. Example, you must not smoke in this area. This means smoking is strictly prohibited. More examples. You must not be late for the meeting. People must not take photos in the museum. Using must not makes it clear that something is not allowed. Now that you know the different ways to use must, let's go over some essential tips to help you use it naturally and correctly in conversations and writing. 1. Use for formal obligations. Must is often used in formal contexts to emphasize rules or strict requirements. Example, participants must arrive on time for the meeting. This means arriving on time is a requirement, not just a suggestion. More examples. Employees must follow company policies. Visitors must present their ID at the reception. Must makes statements sound more official and serious. 2. Pair with not for prohibitions. Must not is used to express strong prohibitions or things that are not allowed. Example, you must not share your password with anyone. This is a strict rule, meaning sharing passwords is completely forbidden. More examples. You must not use your phone during the exam. Children must not play near the construction site. Using must not makes prohibitions very clear and firm. 3. Must versus have to. Must and have to both indicate necessity, but they have slightly different uses. Example, you must read this book. It's amazing. This is a strong personal recommendation. I have to finish this report by tomorrow. This is an external requirement, probably from a boss or teacher. More examples. You must try this dish. Personal advice. I have to take my medicine every morning. Medical necessity. Must often sounds stronger and more personal, while have to is used for obligations coming from outside. 4. Avoid must for the past. Must is not used for past obligations. Instead, use had to. Example, I had to leave early yesterday. This means leaving early was necessary in the past. More examples. She had to take an exam last week. We had to cancel our trip because of bad weather. If talking about past requirements, always switch to had to. 5. Practice common phrases with must. Here are some commonly used expressions with must. You must be joking. Expressing disbelief. I must admit. Introducing a confession or opinion. This must be a mistake. Making a logical conclusion. Using must in these phrases makes them sound more natural and fluent.
Great job today. Now that you've learned how to use modals like can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, and must, try using them in your daily conversations. These words are small, but they play a big role in making your English sound more natural and fluent. If you need extra practice, be sure to check the description below for links to related lessons, exercises, and additional resources on our website. Learning takes time, so don't worry if you don't get everything right away. Just keep practicing and it will get easier. And remember, the best way to improve is to use what you've learned. Try making your own sentences with these modals and don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how you grow. Okay, thanks for watching today's lesson on English Fab. I hope you found these English tips useful and feel more confident. Remember, practice makes perfect, so try using these phrases in your daily conversations. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more Fab English lessons. Until next time, keep practicing and stay Fab.